From the Russ Center for Media in downtown Cape Girardeau, welcome to Focus on Southeast, a program on issues, events, and people impacting the campus of Southeast Missouri State University. I'm Dan Woods with KRCU Public Radio. On today's program, we will spend some time getting to know two of the newest members of the SEMO family, Nora Bouzihay and Wendell Snodgrass. Nora is Assistant to the President for Equity Initiatives, and Wendell is the Vice President of University Advancement. They both started their tenure at SEMO on December 1st. We'll begin today by talking with Nora. Welcome to the program.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, welcome to SEMO.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about your background.
Yes, so obviously my name is Nora Bouzihay. I'm the new Assistant to the President for Equity Initiatives and Title IX Coordinator here at Southeast. My background is in diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging with an emphasis on understanding first generation and underrepresented groups in the United States. And I'm also completing my doctoral degree in higher education student affairs and will be Dr. Bouzihay in a few months.
Oh wow, cool. And where did you come from before you came to?
My previous institution was Arkansas State University, where I served as the Assistant Director for Multicultural Affairs.
So, and how long were you there?
I was at Arkansas State University for almost 4 years.
Wow, okay. So what brought you to SEMO?
This great job opportunity brought me to SEMO. I actually had, my sister graduated from Southeast, and so that was my relationship to knowing the community. And so this was a great opportunity and a stepping stone to make some differences and be an initiator of change for the community. And I thought, what better way to come to Southeast and start with the Southeast community.
So tell us about your office and some of the things that you're responsible for.
Yeah, so our office, juggling a variety of hats, of course, and so it's the hub of working on equity and diversity related issues here at SEMO, working with faculty and staff, but also working with our student populations. Currently, we are working with each of the colleges on diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging committees to initiate a variety of strategies for each individual college to be the initiator of DEI for the campus. And so working on a variety of initiatives, it's the hub where any type of Heritage Month, whether it's Black History Month, Women's History Month, Hispanic Heritage Month, all serves underneath our office as well. And so part of that is the inclusivity on campus and making sure that not only students but faculty and staff feel the sense of belonging here at SEMO.
Title IX is part of your responsibility. Kind of tell us a little bit about what that is and what responsibilities you have related to that.
Yes, so Title IX is also housed within our office, and so as the coordinator for Title IX, I'm making sure that there is awareness when it comes to Title IX and the components of Title IX, and really changing the conversation and normalizing that it's not a scary thing to be in the Title IX office, but to educate the community of what is Title IX, defining the variety of definitions, whether sexual harassment, etc., in order for students and faculty and staff to understand and better serve as mandated reporters for the campus community. And so we go into the classrooms and go into different student organization spaces to do trainings for Title IX.
Did you do this Title IX work at your previous institution?
So this is a new venture for me in terms of Title IX, which is great because in any position you want to continue to grow and gain a variety of experiences. But I have had the shadowing experience and also the training for Title IX before I got here.
Is there a lot of components to it? Is it a pretty
Yes, Title IX has a lot of components, and it's very heavy, and so it's been great to see what has been done and what continues to be done to be able to provide for our students.
Yeah. Okay, so what challenges do you see in your role?
You know, I don't see challenges.
Okay.
I see areas of opportunity. I think challenges has more of a negative component that is associated with it. And so I think there's a lot of opportunity for growth, and that's for any institution. I think that one of the great things about Southeast is the transparency across the board in terms of this is what we want to do, and we need to start the steps in order to initiate those types of changes. And so I think Southeast is in a great space. There's so much work that has already been done, and so now it's time to capitalize on that work and develop strategic plans for the institution to continue to grow in the variety of colleges. So I don't see any challenges. I just think this is a great opportunity of initiators of change and normalizing and changing the narrative of different conversations.
Dr. Vargas several years ago initiated where a big report was done, which I'm sure you've probably read, so that's probably, when you say a lot of work's already been done, that's probably what you're talking
yes.
about. How do you measure success?
How do you measure success? That's a great question. So working with students, success is different than in academia where it's actually the books is how you measure success and content. Success is measured by knowledge gained, and it's a qualitative measure. It's not a quantitative measure. Mm-hmm. And so success is, did we learn something new today? Did we change something that was done incorrectly before? Change is measured based off of progress, implementing strategy, but also actions based off of the strategy. And so what are the things that we're working on in order to initiate these changes shows how much success is. Mm-hmm. For me, success could be I go into training and I teach one person something. That's success for me. Mm-hmm. That they learn something new and now they can be able to teach somebody else the new knowledge that they learn. And so it's an ever moving cycle.
Yeah. When you came, one of the things you noted was it was a student-centered position that attracted you to it. Talk about that and what you really saw when you first came here.
You know, I honestly think every position here at Southeast is not only just student-centered, but faculty and staff as well. And the care that the Southeast leadership has for the students in order for them to be successful is extraordinary. Anybody you talk to says, I'm an alum of Southeast, and so they do a really good job of bringing back the alum to be a part of something that's much greater than themselves. And so I think this type of role is a person who's an advocate for students, to be that support system for students, but also that advocate for faculty and staff when it comes to equity.
If you had to put time on it as far as percentage of time, do you spend more time with faculty and staff or with students? Is it a 50-50?
So I started my position at a weird time, December 1st, and so students are transitioning with finals, so I didn't have as much hands-on with students. Mm-hmm. So right now it's been very heavy on faculty and staff, but that's not something that I want my students to feel that I'm going to forget about them. So I definitely am going to be indulging myself within student groups this semester and really making that conversation report with them as well.
Okay, so you're involved in DEI work now, but you're a biologist at heart, right?
I am.
So talk a little bit about how you're starting with that, but then you did some canine stem cell research with the FDA. I'm curious how you went from there to A to B.
Yes, so I actually went to boarding school for mathematics and sciences. So during my time in high school, I did diabetic research. So I was a researcher. My views were pre-med, pre-dental, and so when I went to undergrad, I did my degree in biology with a minor in chemistry, and so I worked on solar cell research in chemistry department, as well as made my way to the FDA in Laurel, Maryland, working on canine stem cell research. So I spent my time in Washington, D.C. working there, and then when I returned, I ended up working with UAMS with breast cancer research. 1 month before graduation, I decided that it was not my calling anymore to go to medical school or dental school after I've been accepted into both. And
1 month before?
One before. It was April 7th, around April 7th, and I graduated May 15th-ish. And so I decided there was something difference between what you're passionate about and what you're naturally good at. And I was naturally good at the sciences, but I was passionate about making a difference. I was passionate about women's empowerment, making that difference in international education. During my time at the Clinton School of Public Service, I worked with the U.S. government in Dubai working on education-related work. And so I know my parents till this day are like, how did you make that big transition? But being a biologist, I think that lens of how I see things and how I logically analyze a variety of things definitely is an asset into the work that I'm doing today. Mm-hmm. But it's a prime example that it's never too late to do what you're genuinely passionate about, because when you're really passionate about something, you're never going to work a day in your life.
So before you made that decision, you were probably thinking about this quite a bit before you actually took that jump. I mean, that's a pretty major change a month before graduation.
Yeah, so I was involved in what's called Model United Nation, Model Arab League, and I was doing that as fun while I was in the honors college, and I was headed to a conference in Washington, D.C., and I would meet diplomats on the yearly basis. I've met the Prince of Saudi Arabia, ambassadors of UAE, Kuwait, etc., and Sudan, and so I thought that was something that I was just doing for fun. Headed to the airport for the national conference. I don't know what triggered, but I had a conversation with my mentor, who's now my chair, one of my committee members for my dissertation, and I said, Dr. Bouzihay, I don't know what I want to do with my life anymore. And this was a Wednesday headed to the conference. She just said, what do you mean? And I told her, well, I'm very passionate about women's education, women's rights, youth, and I don't know if medicine and dentistry is my path. And so that's a Wednesday. Sunday came around, we're headed back to the airport. I will never forget, she said, Nora, that conversation, we're at Chipotle, she said, Nora, that conversation stuck with me. And I said, why? She said, because I wanted you to figure out what you were passionate about instead of me telling you. And that was the most powerful words of wisdom I ever received. The next day, Monday, I get a call at 7 o'clock in the morning from her. She said, hey, Nora, there's been an extension to the deadline for the Clinton School of Public Service. Go back to sleep, wake back up, and then give them a call. And then day before graduation, I got accepted to the Clinton School of Public Service, and it's been amazing since then. So it's never too late.
That's amazing. So how much of your job is relationship building? I would imagine that's a big part of what you're doing, right?
I think that, in my opinion, the entire job is a relationship building, building purposeful partnerships. I think there's a difference between building partnerships and building relationships versus purposeful relationships and partnerships. And so I would say the majority of my job is that relationship building across not just the campus but also the community.
So let's jump in a time machine and go a year from now. If you were to look back over this past year, what kind of things in your mind will be like, this is what I wanted to happen, this has been great? What would be what's the word, fulfilling for you to see after a full year here? After
a full year here is I want something that wasn't done before. Okay. And that could be small or it could be very big. I am the type of person who's very eager, so anyone who interacts with me understands that I'm a very, very eager person, but I would like to see a strategic plan for each of the colleges, which we're working on that, and that deadline's coming up by the end of the semester. But having that in writing, having a report done, acknowledging and celebrating all of our faculty, staff, and our students from all identities, continuing to building a social media platform to celebrate those differences across the board is definitely what I would like to see. I would like to see consistency when it comes to those celebrations, whether that is for Black History Month, whether that is for Asian and Pacific Islander Month. All of these celebrations, I want to make sure that we are recognizing them, and it doesn't take much to recognize. And when you recognize groups of people, that brings a sense of belonging, inclusivity, and makes someone want to be a part of something greater than themselves. And so any work that we're doing, I want to make sure that we're capitalizing on that to make sure that we're making that difference across the board. But honestly and genuinely, it's to continue to build that relationship, allowing individuals to know who I am and the work that can be done. One of my biggest initiatives that I mentioned in the past is starting a diversity ambassadors program for our students with a small stipend where students can actually have hands-on experience when it comes to diversity, when it comes to social media content and developing a variety of resources for our campus community. So anything is great progress, and I'm hopeful that a lot of the goals that I have seen for myself in the next 6 months to 1 year are definitely going to be fulfilled because of the support, the genuine support that the campus has. That's fantastic. Well, Nora, it's been good getting to talk with you and getting to know you. We'll have you back again in a year or so, and we'll see how things have been going. Sounds great. Thank you so much for having me. All right. When we come back, Wendell Snodgrass will join us. You're watching Focus on Southeast. We'll take a break and be right back.
What is Southeast Missouri? Let's try this again. You are Southeast Missouri. You make Southeast Missouri what it is. And Southeast Missouri is who we are. It's in our name. It's in our past. And with you, it's our future. Welcome home.
Every day,
millions of people
are connecting.
Father,
cosplayer,
mentor,
actor. It's time we take a step forward, come together,
and discover
how accepting our differences
can make us stronger.
Welcome back to Focus on Southeast. We're spending some time today getting to know some new members of the SEMO family. Wendell Snodgrass is the Vice President of University Advancement and Executive Director of the University Foundation. He's here now. Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome to SEMO, too. It's good to see you.
Appreciate it.
All right, so tell us a little bit about your background.
A little bit about my back. So I grew up in a small rural community in Kansas named Wathena, Kansas. It was not far from St. Joe, Missouri.
Okay.
So I grew up close to the Missouri River. I grew up on a farm most of my life until I was in junior high. And I'm the youngest of 9 kids. Okay. And I have a wife and son, Jamie and Wyatt. My son is 8 years old, and my wife and I have been married for quite some time now, and I married way over my head.
I did the same thing. So what brought you to SEMO?
Several reasons. First and foremost, you have to start with the mission and the vision of Southeast Missouri State University. It has a long history. We're going to be celebrating 150 years this year of being in existence. So that's very exciting to be a part of. And then two, I mentioned that I was the youngest of 9. There's 8 of us still living. And so Cape Girardeau is actually located very strategically for me. I have a brother in Kansas who actually just visited with me last night. Cool. I have 3 sisters up by St. Joe, Missouri, a brother in Iowa, a sister in Michigan, and a brother in Indiana. And then my wife's 2 brothers are in Michigan. So this is located very strategically for me to be able to still be within driving distance to get to where we're going.
Because you came to us from Texas, right? So that's a lot closer than...
Well, in Texas, you know, a 5-hour drive is a short drive in Texas. So, wow. So yes, I moved here from West Texas. I was at a wonderful institution, University of Texas Permian Basin, under great leadership with Dr. Woodley. Good things are happening there, but my wife's grandmother passed away a few years ago, and so we saw this as an opportunity to come back to the Midwest.
That's great. So tell us about your office and what kind of things that you're in charge of. I know there's a lot, so kind of break it down for folks.
Well, I think since you're interviewing me, I think I should probably start with KRCU,
well, you can mention that.
Yes. So KRCU is one of the areas that reports up to me. Eua, as the general manager of the group, is very important to me. We have 3 different radio stations that we support. It's 88.7, 88.9, and 90.9. Hey,
excellent.
Yes. So I remember those things.
That's
but so that radio, the radio station reaches many in Southeast Missouri and in Illinois as well. So it does a great service in the area. We have development. Obviously, we raise money for the university to try to help advance the mission. Alumni relations is another area that reports up to me. We have about 80,000 alumni out in the world, and so we want to engage them and make sure that we are there for them wherever they're at in the world. And then we also have the foundation. So as the executive director of the foundation, we have a lot of resources that we are managing. We have over 900 endowments that we are managing at the foundation. So many things, most of which are scholarships, endowed scholarships. But we have other items for support at the institution that we're able to work through. So those are some of the bigger challenges. I hope I didn't miss anything.
No, I think you got them all. One of the things that's interesting, you probably already picked up on this, is that the community is very, very supportive of this university, which helps with the fundraising and everything else, because folks really care about the institution. The fact that it's been 150 years, I think, speaks to that. What challenges, opportunities do you see? I know you're still getting the lay of the land, but what do you see? Well,
again, Nora mentioned, not having challenges, but one of the biggest challenges that I have right now with my staff is having enough staff. Again, I mentioned 80,000 alumni around the world. We need people to be able to visit with them, engage with them, and to help advance the mission. So that would be the challenge, but the opportunity is the same thing that I was just talking about. The opportunity is to engage with alumni and engage with donors, and to be present in St. Louis and in the Boot Hill and in Dallas, Texas, and in Chicago. And again, we have major pockets of alumni around the U.S. and in the world that we want to engage and make sure that they understand that their degree is as strong as it is when they graduated.
80,000 is a lot. There's a lot of potential, I think, for connections that maybe we haven't even made yet with that number of people. Do you see a lot of opportunity there?
Absolutely, absolutely. And again, we first and foremost is we need to be able to tell our story to the alums because they're the ones that can reach back and help other Red Hawks move forward. So we want our alumni we want to be able to share our alumni stories because they are the outcome of our education. Right. So we want to make sure that we can tell the stories of all the great alumni that are doing wonderful things in the community, whether that's being a CEO of a company or being a mother or a father or a leader within their community.
We can't get into all the aspects of fundraising, but it's about relationship building. You may just speak to how important that is. Not just, you got to really get to know somebody. That takes time, right?
It does.
And sometimes that doesn't happen quick enough for some of us, right? How do you navigate that?
Just being transparent and being genuine. One of the things about being the youngest of 9 is I got to, be humbled by my brothers and babied by my sisters, and now the roles are reversed. The sisters pick on me, and the brothers, take care of me. But so I think the key part is just being genuine with who you're visiting with, and being transparent and know why you're there visiting with them to hopefully ask them at some point in time to invest in the mission of the university.
Is it one of those situations where you may have a conversation with someone and nothing really happens then, and 3-4 years down the road something fantastic happens, and you may not always realize, I'm sure you've had the experience where you planted a seed and maybe didn't really see the fruit come along until many years later?
Yes.
That has to be rewarding, though.
It is very rewarding, and again, part of what we, as I explained to my colleagues in the advancement in the foundation, is our role is to find out what the donor's passion is and try to mesh their passion with the needs of the institution.
How do you measure success?
Many different ways. Obviously, at the end of the day, you want to know how much money you brought in the door, but one of the key things for me is measuring how many donors do we have. I mean, how many people are giving to us on a yearly basis? How many new donors do we have? How many repeat donors that do we have? We have a lot of repeat donors at the institution. In addition to that, are we able to help the admissions office recruit students? Are we able to help the provost office retain students? And student affairs, and again, that's part of success, is being able to document in some capacity that we're helping others out, because we're a service entity for the institution and we're there to serve.
And there's a lot of great tools to help with fundraising. I know we have one here at the university that we use, Blackbaud, but that's one of those tools that's really just, you've already taught me some things that I didn't know that it could do. It's an amazing tool that really helps aid in that fundraising process, right?
Well, there's the art and the science to fundraising, and so part of the science is being able to segment out your population. And again, we want to target our solicitations, the larger solicitations, as far as general solicitations. So, example, we want to ask art alumni for art things, and if they played football, we want to ask them for football. If they were on the basketball team, probably for basketball. But if they were on the majored in agriculture, we want to ask them for agriculture. So it's trying to take the data and being able to use the data to help us tell the story.
And that's critical, especially when, as you said, you don't have enough staff that maybe you'd like to have. So you have to, the folks that you do have to work smart. Very critical. So what's something about Wendell that may surprise us?
Something about me. One, I love cutting firewood. So unfortunately, I bought a house that does not have a wood fireplace. We have a gas fireplace. But I do love cutting firewood. I like to golf. But as I tell people, the thing I love to do most is be with my wife and son. And watching him grow is pretty amazing. So
yeah, family time's important. So I'll ask you what I asked Nora. So if we can go ahead in a time machine and look back on this past year, a year from now, if you look back on the year 2023, what will you look at to say, yes, that was it, right on, that's exactly what I wanted to happen? What would it be?
That structurally within the department, that we have the resources that we need to do our job, making sure that we are structured in the appropriate way, making sure that we are able to allocate staff to the needs that we have, making sure that we're able to staff KRCU, whether it's the alumni department, so on and so forth. For me, looking back in a year is, have we made an impact on the university in multiple ways? And so, are we getting the direct student support that we need? Or do we have enough money to cover student emergency fund? And we also have a student food pantry. And making sure that we have enough scholarships to make college attainable for prospective students.
We've got about a minute or so left. Do you see any other things that are out there that are possibilities, that there's a seed there that maybe could be a little bit of water?
Well, I think the key thing is helping alumni understand how they can help us. One is they need to give yearly checks. I would love for them to consider a yearly gift, whether it's $5, $500. They can help us with internships and job placement. And I think the biggest thing they can do is help us recruit a student. So it would be great if they could help us recruit a student to come back to their alma mater.
And sometimes it's just volunteering their time too, right? I mean, there's always opportunities beyond the writing a check. I mean, we obviously appreciate that too, but there could be other opportunities for folks to really get
and being mentors. Yeah, there's many different ways that alumni can get engaged. And
the idea is to make this experience at this university for the students even more valuable.
Absolutely.
All right, we got about a minute or so, a little less than that. Any words of wisdom, any encouragement, I guess, to folks who are listening who maybe have been engaged a little bit with the university? How can they get plugged in more, and what can they do to help?
Well, I think most importantly is to reach out to us. If they would like to get engaged with us, reach out to us and let us help you find the best avenue for you to support the institution, whether that's financially or through volunteerism or some other avenue.
We could even give a tour of the campus, I would say, if they want to do anything like that, right?
Or the tour of KRCU or whatever that might be.
We do give tours of KRCU. Well, Wendell, it's been good visiting with you, and again, we enjoy having you here at the university and look forward to keeping the conversation going and looking for great things.
All right, thank you very much.
All right, thank you. And Focus on Southeast is a collaboration of KRCU Public Radio and the Department of Mass Media here at Southeast Missouri State University. Just a reminder that portions of these conversations will be broadcast on KRCU Public Radio and will also be available online at krcu.org and on the station's YouTube channel. From the Russ Center for Media, I'm Dan Woods. Thanks for watching. Be sure to tune in next time when we focus on Southeast.